I think we are live. How's it going, everybody? I think I'm gonna have to start calling this segment Stocks and Snacks because boy, oh boy, do I love snacking while I'm at my desk. um, so, I think we've got some decent topics to cover this evening. Wait for a couple people to pop in, and then I will get to it. Um, Golan must have caught the notification. So I think we'll start off here with Saida. So this was that multi-day runner. Got a blow-off gap with blow-off volume yesterday on Tuesday. Right here. So we got this after hours blowout, pre-market blowout, big exhaustion gap. This is like an 80+% win rate setup on an opening range entry on a daily that's ran from 1 to 7, I guess it was at that point. So I'm not. I loved that loss that I took. It was a perfect trade. I executed really well, stopped out really well. It was just that one-off trade that didn't work. Fine. That I can deal with. That's all within my control. Then this thing keeps going higher. I'm continually checking my phone throughout the rest of the day and I see it higher. Great. And then they put out that S1 after hours. Now I'm pissed off. Because now this thing closes 8 plus and today by market open was gapping at 6. So now it's opening at 6. Prior close up here at 8. It put out a little PR here in pre-market around 8 a.m. and we got a pop into like the 660s, I think it was. It briefly pushed through. But all in all, like an entry would have been in that 660s range. And even that, I'm risking off of red to green a buck 60 a share. Off of prior day's highs was 840. I'm risking like a buck 80 a share. Um, and goal was this 420 gap fill here on the daily, which it got there. Um, but it's like a 1-to-1 trade on that kind of gap down, and it's already down 30%. Like, there goes the meat of the move on this. So it was straight down. It was, if you took any entry on it since that PR, you were never down. It was straight down. Um, so it was a really great trade. Just the way in which it played out pissed me off because it completely destroyed my confidence, destroyed the risk reward, and ruined like an A grade setup. Um, and I felt that coming into today. When I get to desk this morning, I think I was here around 7 a.m. And I see this down 30%, 25, 30%. I feel that frustration and that emotion creeping in where now I'm looking for something to. I almost feel a right that I should have made X, and now I need to find a trade and make that money that I deserve. Was basically the emotion I was feeling this morning. ASST was that pre-market trade. We're gapping up and pushing through prior day's highs in a straight up fashion. So we get a parabolic here from basically 770 up to 940. That's a parabolic move. This is the 1 minute chart. It was all green candles. I don't hate this trade. I think that's a decent reactive trade. And then a cut through prior highs. But then all through here, when I'm short, cover, short, cover, short, cover, I'm just fighting it. And I'm trying to make a trade work that one, I'm wrong on. Two, isn't even a good setup. I don't know why I'm trading it. I almost never trade pre-market. I just see it running into prior levels and thinking it has to fail, which it ultimately did. But this wasn't a setup I was coming into today with. If you recall on the watch list, the goal was to trade either SIDA or BDSX, and I got caught up in ASST because of the emotion with SIDA, and BDSX as well. By market open was down at 30 cents from the 50-60 cent close in after hours. So that one was down 50% from where I was looking at it as well. So it was just like peak frustration at market open. I was hoping for pops and just nothing came. So yeah, it was a frustrating day. I recognized that emotion after basically revenge trading on ASST, and that was all I traded today. I didn't place a trade post open because I knew it would just lead to emotional decisions. So I took that loss on this one. It wasn't a bad loss, but it was a loss nonetheless. So I just took it off, and I still watched, but I told myself, you're not allowed to push buttons. Just not in the right headspace. So no real trade reviews from today, but I felt that that little lesson and takeaway from today was worth mentioning. So going into ideas for tomorrow. Edible, I had on watch. Multi-day run here from the high ones up to 6. A nice speed up in pre-market. Right before open, put out an 8K, I believe it was. They had a filing with warrants at $3.50. And it slammed, and then right at market open, anyone who was short there in pre-market got popped. It even broke back through high a day, set a high a day in the afternoon before failing pretty damn hard again. And it had this little flat bottom base here right around 5.10 that broke right before close, chopped around, and pops were failing versus that level. So this would be a similar situation where I was hopeful that it would hold up. It was a decent setup with now dilution on my side if I'm looking for a short trade. And so far, with a close right around this line, is now gapping down 50 cents. Now this one only 10% if it opens around here, which isn't terrible. But I will be looking at pops towards this 5 to 5.10 range and look to lean on that. I think there is room, I think sub 4, maybe into like 370, 380. So as long as I can get some sort of strength and some decent risk reward, I will look to trade this one for a first red day. NVTS, this one had some pretty decent news. In after hours, it was linked to NVIDIA. Let me see what the exact PR was. There we go. Pull this up. It was NVTS. NVIDIA selects Navitas to collaborate on next generation 800V HVDC architecture. So NVIDIA selected Navitas to work with them on their AI chip and whatnot. So it's up huge. This isn't a trade I would look to short. I think it has reason to be up. And if you remember Serve from over here, where it gapped from 2, opened around 400%, and ran pretty nicely, I can use a tool in Investors Underground that is called Historical Analytics. And you can set it for a ticker, and you can look at high volume days. So Serve, I should be able to, let me swap my screen here. Historical Analytics, there we go. Should be able to see that. So what I did here was I typed in Serve, looked up its high volume days. So this is what it did all in pre-market when it was gapping up from that 2 to 4. And then we got a slight little weak open, held into 10 a.m. and then was off to the races and went from 4 to 10. So with similar news, not the same news, but similar. Let me go back to my chart here. Excuse me. Here we go. So that's what Serve did on this day. And it had a link to NVIDIA. So I will be looking for a replica of something like that. So for now, it is up a lot. Ideally, it does just go sideways and consolidate in pre-market. But see how it holds into that 9:45, 10 a.m. window. And yeah. Bass Hunter saying Serve had a lower float. Possibly at the time. I don't think this one. 36% institutionally owned. 18% short interest on Navitas. It's got 130-ish million float. So a bit of it is locked up with insiders, and it's got a decent short interest at 18%. So I think it still has spikeability, squeezability. Jeepus right off looking left levels. Held up pretty decent after that parabolic stuffed. I don't think it was an easy one by any means. Like if you reacted to that parabolic and weren't covering VWAP, it's a bit tough to hold all through there. If you're short here covering, then re-hitting it isn't so bad, but it was not an easy one. TNMG, that one someone asked on the watch list yesterday, and basically exactly what we expected. Pop into that 1 to 105 range and fail. Not until it were to build over that. BDSX failing. PTIX continuing lower. Not sure if I really want to bounce this one. Doesn't look terrible. Did it have opening range break today? Nope. Held its opening range highs all day. And its first red day yesterday. It did break. Set a high a day. Broke out and then failed. It's just barely meeting that dollar volume requirement, closing around 6 with like 1.3 million traded. You've got a third, which is 2, 1 is 6. You've got like $8 million volume. So it's got enough, and I think like even a push into like 8, there is potential for it to get back to like 10. But even like a conservative target of 8 has decent risk reward to it if you can get an entry like risking low a day. Just, you know, you'd need like this volume to sustain, because that's when it kind of holds and is a bit tighter. When it starts to get like barcodey and volume disappears, then you get you're at the risk of those knife candles. I think I'd probably watch this for a backside bounce possibility. Briefly broke day one lows of 630, so it could be like an undercut and rally. CTMX looks like it's finally starting to roll over. More so on the daily. It looks like it's slowly failing. 195, 199, 197, 198. If it breaks like that 195, it should get hit. That 188, 187 is the big level. Still keeping that one on watch for a quiet idea. Technically, this was like a panic dip buy too. Even missing the short, it pulled back right into the gap level. An entry at like 460 or 420, 40 cents. Up about $1.40. It's like a 3-to-1 trade on a bounce if you nailed it. But again, I told myself I shouldn't trade. Ideally, this puts in another red day. I want it to get below this 420. So I hope that it just continues to fade for another day. Steady lows. Set a high a day, like right off market open, and just fade, fade, fade. If it were to get back to these mid threes, that'd be super sexy for a backside bounce. I really want it to put another red day and get lower. Newton doesn't quite meet the dollar volume requirement. So far looks fairly clean. It did try to bounce there today and failed, so probably a sign. AYTU nothing. ASST went over. Pony. This one here coming into that 1640s again. Just waiting for this thing to break down. I tried it, what was it, right over here, and it held, unfortunately. I do see some people had some pretty good trades on Saita today. If the gap down wasn't so damn big, it was an A to A grade, A to A plus setup. Like it was setting up really nice. What the heck? My thing just closed down. I'm basically just acting like you're not even there. I'm just reading chat logs and stuff in IU. So if anything pops up, any tickers, any thoughts, any comments, whatever, obviously throw them in the chat. I'm just reviewing. APVO, that thing is, wow. Look at that. Oh my god. Parabolic. Just round tripped with like no upticks. It's insane. GCL too. Holy smokes. S&P is like finally had a pullback today. Every sector was like red today. Gold was the only thing that was up. What is it? Is it? I don't even know what the tickers are for gold stuff anymore. Hello, how are you doing? I was watching Kulamagi to refresh my mind for multi-day runners. Very nice, very nice. He's a genius. I had the pleasure of meeting him this past year in Vegas. He made it out to Traders for a Cause. Everybody wanted to talk to him. He doesn't get out to that stuff too often, so he was pulled in a bunch of directions, but it was I had a brief chat with him. His girlfriend was there as well. I didn't want to be rude, but it was nice to say hello. Wow. Tesla got whacked. Nvidia whacked. Palantir. Wow. Nate had his best day of the year today. Impressive. GPIS was a nutty did cat bounce all the way to breakout level. Does that happen often? Man, I I don't think so. Usually when they're going back to a breakout level, they're gapping up. You get like a gap short idea, not like a flat open and run straight into the breakout and then close it right back where it came from. Like these kinds of moves, they just aren't typical, and I haven't seen a ton of them. So for me not to trade them, that's on me. But I also don't think this is crazy clean. A lot of times when Nate's like nailing is not a time I'm usually like building the account. Usually I'm almost struggling when he's doing really well because he's like good in volatility. So like when names have big range from highs to lows, it doesn't matter how many times they're getting there or how choppy they are in between. As long as they have that big range, Nate does really well. I more prefer steady multi-day runners, steady fades, just like trendy names. I don't like volatility. I like trends. Lottery. What's up with this thing? Is it up? Okay, it's gapping down so far, so it closed right near its highs. Decent little runner back here. I remember watching it. I've got that line drawn right in the 180s. Funny it topped right there. All the wicks. No volume otherwise. Definitely worth keeping this one on watch. Why is it up? Stock news. Earnings. Year-over-year increase Q1 earnings results. Okay. So it should have legs. Earnings winners. Right around 1230. Topped. Nate was looking to short it right in here, but 130s was holding. Lottery short report. Made a short report? Really? One sec, let me just finish this and then I'll look it up. I just clicked on the news and it said that there was earnings. NVIDIA partnering with Navitas. You betcha. That thing's gapping up like crazy. 175% right now. Core wave. Looks like a decent setup. I don't know if you guys follow Phil Godecker on Twitter, but he's warned against shorting IPOs. You could put Beyond Meat in that category. You could put Tilray in that category. Corway's in that category. But when you get like an IPO, he's saying that from what he's tracked and statistically, they're not as good of opportunities as they look. I don't really know what the reasoning for it is, but he's a far better trader than I am, so I will take his word for it. Lottery's got a massive S1 offering. 100 million. They don't need cash, but they've got plenty to dilute if they want. I don't know what's going on with my news feed. Because, like, I'm literally reading. It says Lottery.com shares trading higher after the company reported a year-over-year increase in Q1 EPS results. That's literally the headline. Lottery.com Q1 GAAP EPS of 14 cents up from negative 14 cents up from negative $1.40 year over year. Sales of 220K down from 250K. And that sales thing was at 9 a.m., 9:45 on Lottery. So it didn't move on that. And then at 3:35, it says that earnings thing. But if you guys are saying short report, I just don't see it. I don't know. Yeah, May 21st. They got a 10Q from today. I don't really know what to do with it, but it's running into resistance. My dog was bugging out. Make sure she's okay. But yeah, like I don't really know what to do with it per se tomorrow. It's running up into resistance. It's up over 100% today, but it's on earnings. I don't like shorting earnings winners. So let it be, let it be. Oh, let it be. Kidley, Bitcoin related. That thing's coming back too. Like, look at these daily charts though. It gaps from 3 to 30, fades all the way to 13, closes at 7 2 days later, and then back to 26. Like, this isn't clean action. This just drives me nuts. When they say that charts are a culmination of the traders and the psychology of traders, and you see this, like, this just doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. Frustrating me. Frustrating me. I'm gonna end up throwing this computer out the window. There's a I can post this this link I was listening to this evening while I was reviewing scans. It's a Twitter Spaces with Kim Ann Curtin. I think you can probably skip 5 or 10 minutes in. They were trying to deal with microphone issues, but she had Greg LX21 on, and I've met him multiple times. He's one of the nicest traders I've ever met. Welcomed me into his home when I was in Arizona. Yeah, very, very nice guy. So he's smart. He's been around for decades. Hell of a trader. Last I spoke to him, he was semi-retired, but now that he's doing interviews and stuff, I'm wondering if he's back into the trading scene. So I'm only about half hour in, so I will see what else he's got to say, but I highly recommend listening to it. We the Random, Navitas should be continuing. Yeah, I think it should go higher. I'm not going to chase it, but earlier in the stream I compared it to Serve because they had NVIDIA related news. And Soon, I think, had it with another company. I don't remember who it was. They were with another company, I believe. But a few stocks did it with like larger companies, and Serve had done it with NVIDIA. Back, bugger, mistyped. Give me a second. Come on. What the hell is going on? Yeah, Serve over here had news with NVIDIA. So I'm kind of thinking or hoping that this doesn't continue to gap much higher, but maybe hold sideways or a little bit lower than where it's closing here in after hours. And I think it could get going. Yeah, Newton, I don't hate. It is lacking the dollar volume requirement, but given the way that it has acted, if I get a gap down towards 130s and can use that area as like lows, I think I'd probably give it a shot. give it one shot in opening range highs and risk lows. Ideally, gap down and flush towards 130s would be ideal. And then I'm also watching P-ticks for that backside bounce. It ran technically because of the gap from 3 to 14. So it has enough range and it does meet its dollar volume requirement. I think a low, like conservative target would be 8. I think it could get to 10 and hasn't broken its opening range highs. Coming back into support, maybe an undercut and rally of this day one gap. So I will keep that one on watch as well. And SIDA, yeah, I really hope it doesn't bounce tomorrow. I hope it continues to fade Thursday and then maybe Friday or latest Monday. But I hope it doesn't bounce tomorrow. If it can set a high a day off open and then just steady fade, that'd be sexy. Yeah, GPIS, I had briefly touched on that one. It was, yeah, shortened to resistance. I don't think it was the easiest trade. If you're shorting this, it wasn't the cleanest parabolic. Prior highs was 994. Today's highs was 998. So depending how tight your stop was, if you were risking that 994, 995, you would have got stopped by a couple pennies. Whether or not that was the stop or you were risking like over under 10 or something like that, still would have been in the position. But if you're not covering it a VWAP, it was a $2 fade, so you probably should be. But if you don't and you're looking for it to round trip, then you're probably emotional into this pop. Yeah, it wasn't the cleanest action. If you're looking at the daily chart, then yeah, I think you're spot on. But I don't think it was the easiest trade. I think the trade was there to be had, but I wouldn't say it was like an A grade by any means. I didn't trade it. I saw this move, this pullback, and then once it started to come back, I was leaving, so I was like, whatever. What about TNGX? Similar to PTX. I don't have that one on a list. Yeah, just not enough of a frontside move. When the volume came in, it went from 150 to 3. That's only 100%. That's not enough range for me to want to bounce it personally. Yeah, bad volume, 2 million. Yeah. Not so much the volume, I'd say more the range. It just didn't really run. My dog does this trick. I call it so embarrassed. And she does it to get my attention. And she covers her eyes with her paw. Kind of scratches her ear towards her eyes to cover it. I think it's pretty funny. Bitcoin all-time highs, really? My God, 112K. Where's my daily chart? There we go. Wow. I personally do not trade Bitcoin, but I know my brother is invested in it. That's wild. Congrats to Kyle, too. Kyle Williams has been holding this thing. like for years. I don't have the Bitcoin chart up, but I don't remember what Kyle's average is. I think he's got like 18 Bitcoins or something. I could be misspoken, but I can't remember. Ah, stupid thing. I don't know where it was. But congrats to Bitcoin holders. Cody has tried to explain it to me. He's tried to drill it into my head, and I just never understand it. I'm old school. I listen to guys like Buffett who've done this for, 80 years. I don't like hopping on these hot new bandwagons, but what time is it here? I'm 3 hours before, so it's 9 o'clock for me. I'm on the West Coast. East Coasters is late. So, yeah, what else? So I'll be watching Newton, SIDA, CTMX, PTX, Edible. We've got Navidus. Bunch of stuff. Tons to watch. Got plans going in. I like having a bunch on watch, and then I like having like 2 or 3 main watches into the open, but I like having like 4 or 5 watches the night before, because more times than not, some of them aren't gapping in the direction that I'm planning for. Like SIDA, when I'm going into it, like this is the trade, and then it gaps down 30%, my head gets all messed up and I start getting all jumbled. So man, I'm pretty sure you get about 3 hours of sleep each night with your business, getting up pre-market. I don't know how you do it. Yeah, I don't know. It's the trading thing doesn't really tire me. The construction and the business stuff does, dealing with people and the physical stuff all day. That stuff does take a toll. But I heard a quote recently. It was, I wonder if I can find it. I heard it just the other day. It was on a podcast. There's no perfect way to live your 20s. You either live them up and become an underskilled 30-year-old, or you work them up and become an underlived 30-year-old. You have to figure out which one you'd rather be, accept the trade-offs, and know that there are no do-overs. That was the quote. And I strongly believe it. So I think I am more in the boat. Life's a garden, dig it. I'm more in the boat of working up my 20s, but I know that I am underlived. I don't have a ton of life experience, but I prefer to try and set my future self up for an easier life ahead. My brother took the other route where he very much so lived up his 20s, didn't finish high school, wanted to go kind of do his own thing. And he has a lot more life experience. He's had a lot more fun. But in terms of stress, he has a lot more things to worry about. Financially, not quite as stable. He's had some luck, but seeing stuff like that, I'm like, I think I would rather just work as much as I can while I can. And when I'm older, hopefully I reap the benefits. But yeah, I'll trade from about, like, I'll be at the desk around 4 a.m. I'll trade till about 8. Then I'll go to work from about 8 till 6, 8 till 7, work 10, 11 hours. And then I'll make dinner. Well, dinner's, whatever it is, rice and meat and veggies, usually toss it in a bowl. So that kind of stuff is cooking. I'll come into the office, hop on the desk, and I will start doing some watch lists. And that'll be from about 7:30-ish till about 9:30-ish. Usually try to be in bed by 10:30, and then just do it all over again. Yeah, old people that can't retire. That was I've done a who was it? Was it with I think it was with Anthony with Nieto on Investors Underground. We did a Trader's Journey podcast. I think it was like the second one he had done. And basically he was asking like how and why did you get into the markets? And my like realization that you can make more money from money um, came from family members and uncles and that sort of thing. They were mostly real estate investors. Um, and I didn't have the money to do real estate deals, so I needed something with a lower barrier to entry. That's when I started finding stocks. Um, but I worked from a really young age at like 12, 13 for my father, and a bunch of the guys that were working for him were in their 60s. And when I would ask them, basically, like as an innocent 12-year-old, why are you still working? You're at retirement age. All their answers were that they couldn't. A lot of them could only afford rent in Vancouver because housing is so expensive. And even the ones who owned, that was where all their money went. They just, they weren't able to save. They were working like crazy. They didn't have a retirement fund. And yeah, I just didn't want to be like that. And it was the catalyst for change for me to not be like them. When the first Green Day bounce ideas gap up, say 30%, do you ignore them? If they're gapping up more than 10%, I ignore them for first Green Days. They either need to be less than 10% gap or gapping down. I like them really close to that red to green level. Or if you get basically like an invert of like a parabolic where you get gap to gap to gap, if it fades for one, and if this goes red tomorrow and fades, and then you get a gap down on Friday, I see that as like an exhaustion gap on the backside and look for a mean revert. Compounding good habits, surround yourself with good people. Heyo. Yep. Yeah, I don't really socialize too much with the tradespeople. I don't identify and feel like I kind of fit in with that group. It was just all I really knew from when I had started working, so I just continued on with it. But I don't really like I get along with the guys fine, but it's not like I don't know. I don't feel like I belong there. But when I go to like Vegas and I start talking with guys at Traders for a Cause, I'm like, I feel like I fit in here. So those are the people I try to surround myself with. Guys like Nate, guys like Kyle, guys like Connor, guys like Jack. Just friends meet through the trading industry. Very nice. I think Bass Hunter should do a YouTube video. He keeps telling me all these good trades. I feel like I need to learn from him. Yeah, go make one. Go make a video. I'll watch it. Yeah. Most people that get to retirement aren't the ones who want to quit working. That's 100% true. I agree. Because it's like money is a habits game. Money's not so much a numbers game as people think it is. It's more of a habits game. Um, and you build habits that make you have a surplus of money, but those habits are also hard work, diligence, commitment. And those same people don't just want to quit because their work and building themselves, like money is the byproduct of you becoming like a better version of you, and that's how it keeps score in the financial realm. Same thing with trading. You're never trading for money. You're trading to trade well, and then the P&L is what keeps score to tell you if you're doing well. And I think that's how money works as well. That's why the people who don't want to quit, that when they're 60, 70 years old, those are the people who can retire but don't want to, because the habits that got them there to be able to, they never quit in the first place. So their habits are ingrained in them. I just don't tell you about the dumb bad ones. I make plenty of those to go around. Dumb bad trades. Alrighty, guys. I think I'm going to hop off. Roland told me as soon as I separate myself from trying to make money in this, well, I'll make money. Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. Alrighty, guys. I am going to hop off here. I think that's enough chit chat for one evening. I don't know how I've got quite the commute tomorrow. I've got a new job starting tomorrow. So I don't know how late I'm going to be. So if I'm not around by like 8 p.m., then I might not be able to get a watch list in, but I will do my best. So I will try to see you guys back here tomorrow, but I will definitely see a few of you in the morning in Investors Underground. So take it easy, guys, and I will see you later. Peace.